customarily in the last few months, we've been leaving this period open for people to share anything that's come up for them in the readings, the music, or the address. And we pretty much approach it Quakerishly, waiting for the Spirit to move someone to speak. So we'll turn it over to you now, and I'll try and referee.
Perhaps it's not a coincidence. I don't know whether Rob heard Occam's razor this morning, but the new religion he's speaking about was an Occam's razor this morning.
All right.
Occam's razor is a remarkable series of talks, 8:45 every week on Sunday morning on Radio National, hosted by Robert Williams. When I turned it on a minute too late, I thought the person who was speaking as if he was speaking as God. But it turned out from the context that he was speaking as though he represented, or he was, Mother Nature. And he was addressing us all in terms of what Mother Nature offers us, and how we should beware of abusing what we've been offered. It was a most extraordinary talk. It can be downloaded from ABC, but when Rob just talked about the new religion, that is what it is.
Okay.
Now the coincidence is not entirely a coincidence, of course, because that broadcast came this morning because it released today. And Rob has spoken as he has released today. But nonetheless, the concordance between the two is very, very remarkable. I just wanted to add one or two things to that. One is that we have a problem with the word God because of how it's been used for hundreds of years. Although the etymologists have a different theory, I am convinced from my knowledge of English and Swedish that God and good are in fact the same word. That's my
Good say, good God.
That's all right. I'm sorry.
Well, telephone, I think.
It so happens, I won't bore you with the details, but in English and German and Swedish, in one language, good means God, and the other language, God means good. It's a most extraordinary thing. The other point I wanted to, which I think is relevant, is that I went with my wife Margaret, who died 10 years ago, to the Mystery Play in York many years ago. Mystery plays are an account of the life of Jesus, broadly speaking, presented in various ways, and they're particularly historically founded in Yorkshire. And at the end of this wonderful play, in the ruins of an abbey in York, as we went, I said to Margie, it doesn't really matter if it's true or not, it's such a wonderful story. And I still think that's a very powerful way of doing it. And then my final comment at the risk of talking too much is I've just read an extraordinary book about the Enlightenment, in the 18th century, when thinking changed, fundamental change occurred towards rationalism, and towards debunking the sort of fairy story part of religion. And I learned for the first time, I don't know if you all noticed, but the Unitarians actually led that movement. Extraordinary the role they played in the Enlightenment, quite extraordinary.
Thank you, Chris. Yeah, the growth of there was a kind of, from my understanding of Unitarian history, kind of it was there, but there was a sudden rapid coalescing of the strands that led to Unitarianism and a rapid development of it in that fertile soil of the Age of Enlightenment, and it, as a synergy, helped drive it on. It's not surprising then that quite a lot of the founding fathers of the U.S. were also Unitarians that grew out of 18th century rationalism. And one of the reasons why our church still does very well in North America.
I think it's interesting, this business with God and good.
Mm.
Some time ago, a friend of mine who'd been through a very traumatic mental illness and come out the other side said to me, throughout that time, there's one thing that held me together, and that was I knew my God was good. My God was good. I thought, oh yes, okay, that's... But suddenly it hit me that for me, it was the other way round. That I really felt my good was God. If that doesn't sound too... But that sort of fit for me better. So that's where I think it lies.
I was going to say, as Rob knows, I'm involved in this organic food movement that he's talking about.
And I'm one of the beneficiaries of it.
And I've been totally amazed with the good that has sprung from the community, from the project, the generosity of spirit that comes with it. It's quite
and it's just such a wonderful thing. There was for me a sense of religiosity about the whole thing, that these foods are somehow more imbued with something special, and that our worshipful observance of what's organic and not, and what's locally grown and what necessarily has air miles attached to it before it arrives to you is part of this sensibility that when I was a child was completely foreign, just 2 generations ago. The notion that one took one's burnt offerings out to the recycling, that offerings and purification and so on were strictly the province of what you did in church, but actually now it's becoming part of the way we relate to the natural world, and I think that's a wonderful thing. And I highly recommend Food Connect, by the way. I don't normally give endorsements from the pulpit, but it's great value for money, and the food is fantastic. There is a perceptible difference in eating organic produce, even down to the taste.